Hey guys, what is going on? It's Vince here. I am so excited to bring you this video today. This one is going to be a little different from the ones that we normally do, where the videos that we've been doing thus far and that we're going to be doing in the future are specific strategy orientation and strategy breakdowns, where say Instagram DMs, setting, sales call structure, things along those lines. But this one is more along the lines of a step-by-step analysis and breakdown of exactly what we did to get Will, who thus far has been our most amazing client. In fact, fitness coaches in general, if any of you watching this are fitness coaches, you guys are amazing. You guys are so easy to work with, and you actually implement what we give you, the frameworks, the whole 9 yards. And he's been so great to work with, and we got him to over 20K a month versus when we first met him, which was 1,500 to 2K per month. He was kind of at a plateau, and we just wanted to do a full breakdown of exactly what we did to get him to where he's at and give that to you guys. So please enjoy. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Close all your tabs. This took a lot of work to put together in this format that we did. It's an hour long. It's not very long. If you are running any sort of online business that uses organic traffic from socials, this is going to be extremely valuable for you. Doesn't matter if it's a coaching offer, done for you, service, agency, systems, it does not matter. There's going to be some part of this video that correlates to the offer that you are running, and you are going to get value and a new perspective at some point through this video. I can absolutely guarantee it. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right, so without any delay or anything, I'm just going to get straight into it. One thing before I do begin, though, is that this entire document, this entire case study, this whole breakdown, this applies across the board to various different types of offers. Though this specific case is about a fitness coach, I wanted to note that this works for Make Money Online offers, business opportunity or BizOp offers, fitness coaching, life coaching, mindset coaching. There's even elements here that can be applied to if you run any sort of done-for-you service, like if you run an agency, things like that. There will be some key elements. If you have the deductive reasoning, you can figure out which elements those are and apply it. But in general, this applies to more done-with-you offers, information like info product offers, or just a done-with-you service, primarily because the angle at which the viewers and the viewers of the content are watching from is from a lower status frame where they are looking up to the content creator. So fundamentally, just so you understand the framing, that this works in various different models and offers, but just keep that in mind before I get into it. So right off the bat, let's hit the headline. Case study: how we generated a fitness coach 496 coaching applicants and got him to over 20K per month in under 90 days without spending a dime on ads or sending a single cold DM, all while staying above 93% profit margins. So, brief intro. My name is Vince. In this whole presentation / training / video, I'm going to show you exactly how Liam and I scaled Will. He initially came into when he came in, we met him back in November and December of 2022. It's now April. And he was kind of at like a 1,500 to 2K per month plateau and was kind of struggling along the lines of actually scaling his fitness coaching business. Like, he was posting on Instagram. He got a bunch of traffic, but he had no idea what to do with it, basically. He was getting lots of traffic because he's in really good shape, but he just wasn't monetizing it as effectively as he knew he could. So, getting into it now, for anyone watching this, this is going to be extremely valuable. In total, this is something like I checked the word count, I think it's 7,000 words in here. Yeah, so it's a 7,000 word breakdown. It's not going to be that long of a watch. I imagine this is only going to be 45 minutes to an hour, but if you watch this, you're going to walk away with a completely different perspective on how to do basic social media monetization if you have any kind of done with you or info product offer. Everyone that we've showed this to, or the baseline versions, or anyone we spoke with these general concepts about, they've never had that kind of a breakdown before. They've never heard it from this perspective. So make sure to close all your tabs, put your phone on D&D, close Instagram, TikTok, everything and pay very close attention, because if you plan on launching or scaling any sort of program, this can honestly even apply to like agencies. Like I said before, there's so much, like if you use deductive reasoning, this is going to work out well for you as well. Like there's parts and pieces that you can apply across the board, and you will be able to create similar results for yourself in a very short time period. It's actually insane. So before we get into the details of the case study and the exact things we did in the nuance, I'll quickly show you some proof of the statement above so you know we actually did this. So this is the back end of the coaching application, or rather in this case, just Typeform. The date range being from December 28th to April 3rd. So in that time period, Will got 400. I know the headline said 496, but at the time I took the screenshot, it was 497. So 497 applications to work with him just through organic. The image above is, or this image right here is the back end of the payment processor. Once we switched him over to Stripe from collecting through PayPal and Zelle, if we're being completely honest, it's actually like he's over 30 because he's still, because I can see the back end of his Instagram, like all the DMs and everything. He's still cash collecting through PayPal and Zelle, so it's actually over this. But you know, just for brevity's sake and for simplicity's sake, we'll just call it over 20K a month, just to be fair. So now that we have that out of the way, let me tell you who this training is for. If you are looking to scale your coaching business to at least either scale it from, let's say you're at 2 to 5K a month, you have some basic product market fit, you kind of know what you're doing, and you're trying to get to 10 to 30K a month in take home profit within the next couple months, this is for you. Or if you are someone who's currently already running a coaching business, let's say you're doing 30, 40, 50, there will be elements in this that I guarantee you have not applied before that will increase how much you are bringing in at a greater level of system efficiency. So that's for you. If you have a social media audience but are struggling to monetize it properly, this is for you. If you're running a coaching offer and feel like you're doing everything right but still are not scaling at the pace you know you should be, this is for you. If you have expertise and experience that you want to efficiently package and sell at premium pricing, this is for you. Now, who this is not for: if you are looking to make quick cash and not run a proper business, it's not for you. If you want to follow the traditional coaching model and get meager results compared to guys like Liam and I, or some of our people that we work with, this isn't for you. If you are not looking to launch or scale a coaching offer, I don't know why you're watching this video. If you do not care about your clients' results and transforming people's lives for the better, this isn't for you. If you do not have enough competence in a given area that you could teach to someone else, this is not for you. So we're going to get into the actual breakdown part now. Here's the truth. We're going this route. The truth about coaching offers that no one else is going to tell you is that, yes, a larger audience size does help. Anyone that, says that it doesn't is, they don't know what they're talking about. But you do not need to have a gigantic audience, run ads, or send cold DMs to get to above consistent 20K months. And a thing to keep in mind is that there's a lot of people that run far bigger numbers. But if we're talking about broad market, average person, watching this video, there's no reason, if you have any sort of competence in a given area, if you're operating consistently with some of the steps that you're about to see in here, there's absolutely no reason that you shouldn't be able to get over 20K a month. We work with some people and know some people that are almost mentally slow that are doing insane month to month. I'm talking 500, a million per month, and they are below the standard, IQ range. I promise, if you just implement what we go through here, you will absolutely be able to get over 20K months. However, most people or coaches that have larger audiences, even though they are intelligent or they have larger audiences, they're not capable of monetizing because they don't fundamentally understand how to, one, speak directly to their audience's problems, and two, properly funnel the audience and the viewers to their no-brainer offer that the audience actually needs and wants. It's very common that a lot of people who are extremely intelligent or have a lot of traffic, but they're just missing those parts and pieces of actually having an offer that people want, and then a mechanism to bring them to that area. So yeah, they don't really understand how to create enough of a one-on-one connection with their audience to make the sales process feel actually natural and organic rather than just forced and pushy, which is, you see it everywhere. It's horrendous. But considering you're already watching this, you are probably already on the right track in stopping yourself from making like simple, avoidable mistakes. That's what we're going to go over here. So, big thing I want to tackle, and I wrote this down specifically in this period because right here, a common objection a lot of people have is that the coaching space or just the whole online marketing space is too saturated. That is a limiting belief. There's no such thing as market saturation or there's not enough space, because there's always there's so many tools that you have available to you in terms of unique branding, your speech patterns, your uniqueness, the unique elements of you that can be attached, and how you conduct business and how you run your systems and your sales process. All these things are so unique, and you're the only one that will ever operate that way. So how you deliver things, your results, everything like that is completely different. That's why even two people that run the exact same offer, they're going to have completely different results and completely different client demographics and everything, just because of how they speak, how they present themselves, the whole 9 yards. So there's no such thing as market saturation. People are always, especially on socials, they're always looking for the new thing, the new person, the new dopamine hit, and they always latch on and are happily willing to pay for access, info, and guidance. Now, if you want that person to be you, in this breakdown, we're going to go over exactly 1, how to navigate around the issues we mentioned above, 2, how we managed to help Will get so many applicants that he was barely able to keep up with the amount of sales calls he had to take, and then 3, how to get to over $20K per month in profit and stay above 90% margins, and 4, how to do all of this without sending a single cold DM or running a single paid ad. Though those things help, absolutely, you can still get away without doing it. Now, before we dive in, a little background as to how we got here. Me, for the majority of 2022, I was selling CRO services to 7-figure and a couple multi-7-figure direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands, and I was doing it all through TikTok. If anyone who's watching this, if you've seen my TikTok account, it's literally all the old history before kind of the stuff I'm posting right now. All of it is just all conversion rate optimization for e-com, and I was getting mad leads through that. And similar in Liam's case, where during 2022 he was selling image consultancy and personal branding services for companies, brands, and founders. Once again, similar, just only through TikTok and Instagram. We were doing it just through TikTok, which a lot of people thought is very impossible. Like, there's this very weird thing where a lot of people think that selling high ticket services through TikTok, it's like you're just incapable of doing it. Like, oh yeah, the audience is dumb, whatever. There's 160 million people right now that are on TikTok on a daily basis. So everyone that you're looking for is absolutely on there. It just depends how you do it properly. And this breakdown, by the way, is just not only TikTok. There's Instagram here as well. Now, during this period, we were both closing packages anywhere between 2K a month retainers to upwards of 7K per month. As you can see here, we even have some 15K pops. In fact, just this week, we're closing one that's 15,000 through TikTok. It's probably going to close this week, if I'm thinking correctly. Anyway, and towards the end of 2022, him and I ended up meeting for the first time at an online marketing mastermind. And after speaking for a bit, after we initially met, we started speaking for a little about our own individual experiences as it relates to content, so on and so forth. We both noticed that we had something similar happening, which was that in both of our cases, even though we had vastly different sub-specific offers and everything, we were getting people that ran, whether it was coaching offers or info product offers, things like that, that were coming in through both of our funnels and asking us for help in closing deals through organic, because some people were smart enough to realize that's exactly what we were doing, and they could figure it out just because of how often we were saying, oh yeah, we have I got this client and this client. Like, they could see how many different case studies we were representing. So they're like, okay, they're clearly getting clients through this. And we started to get countless coaches. I was getting lots of fitness coaches. There was even a couple dating coaches, multiple things like that, where people were coming in and asking for help in terms of content, funnels, offer, sales structure, positioning, things like that, so that they could replicate the same thing only with organic content. And then because we were both in the similar space and had complementary skill sets, we decided to actually partner up and build a new system to solve these problems that people were asking us for help with, obviously, because we both were in the same boat. People were coming in and asking us to help solve the same problem, and we both had similar skill sets, but we had enough differentiated nuance in different areas to where it ended up coming together really well. Now, within weeks of agreeing to help these people, we got to see firsthand a lot of the problems that many people struggle with when trying to close coaching clients or get sales through organic socials. And one of the constant reoccurring themes we saw was that people did not know how to simultaneously strike a nerve with their audience while simultaneously making the sales process super streamlined with a no-brainer offer that their audience and viewers actually wanted. So it's a mixture of being personable and connecting on the front, but also still correlating what you're saying to the final intended outcome, which is closed deals. A lot of people struggle with that. Now, given our experience with closing high ticket offers through organic, as well as each of us individually buying over 30K in coaching and information products in 2022 alone, in my case, I think it was actually over 40K, if I remember right. I think Liam was 30K and I was 40K. I'm getting off topic. We knew the exact steps needed to help these guys break past their plateau and give them a legitimate asset that they could use to generate profit for the rest of their lives. Oh, wait, 1 second. Okay, I worded that a bit weird. So given that I went on that tangent right there and I lost where I was at. So given our experience with closing high ticket offers through organic, and we had experience in buying, coaching or info product services, packages, things like that ourselves, we knew the exact how to position them and do everything so that it would make sense in their specific case. Now, like I mentioned before, in early December, we met Will through TikTok, and he told us that he was stuck at the 1,500 to 2K a month mark and needed help getting past it because he was just sick of it, of basically being in an organic grind but not knowing what he's doing wrong. There's people that had a tenth of his following and that were just clearing, miles ahead of where he was at. So we spent the rest of December building his new content strategy, crafting a high-converting funnel, designing a streamlined sales process for him, and engineering his no-brainer offer. And towards the end of the year, we put things in motion. This ecosystem framework that we created for Will worked so well that within 3 months since starting, he's cash collected over 50 grand. And Will's average week right now is roughly between 5 and 7K. Sometimes it's above, sometimes it's below, but it's typically within that average range. The ecosystem framework is, in essence, it's our playbook built through our own trial and error. So none of it is learned from other people. It's all just actually from our own data and testing and our own thought processes that directly has led to closed deals. Now, we decided to break it all down for you. And in the following steps, we're going to outline the entire process A to Z of what we did to accomplish these results. And we want to put this out there so that you can use it to launch or scale your coaching business and make at least an additional 20K per month in the next 90 days. It doesn't matter if you are at 100K per month. It doesn't matter if you are at 1K per month. There's going to be something in here that absolutely gives you a different perspective that you hadn't thought of before. So, getting right into it, the first portion of this is that, or the first general idea here, or the founding thesis or idea here, is that a coaching business is just an engine. Now, this doesn't mean to think of it as a hyper complex, engineering metaphor, but the reason we say this is that there's a crazy similarity in that both are just machines that process two ingredients together to create an outcome. And in the case of an engine, the machine is just pumping air and fuel into a combustion chamber, which creates power. And the most powerful engines create the fastest race cars. But in the case of a coaching business, the machine just acquires clients and crafts the coach's expertise into a training program or course or information that gets a desired result for the clients. and the coaching program that gets the best results for the most amount of clients makes the most profit. Now, without making it into too much of a complex engineering metaphor, here are the specific pieces of the machine that make up a successful coaching business. Part 0, the offer pieces being the ICP and the offer made to that ICP. Number 1, marketing pieces, audience acquisition mechanism, organic. 2, conversion mechanism, which is the funnel or application system or the flow, and the nurturing mechanism being stories and or emails. Depending on what kind of offer you have, emails could just be redundant. 2, sales pieces is the setting mechanism, could be CTA stories or warm DMs, and then the value exchange mechanisms, which could be either a DM close or a sales call. Number 3, client intake pieces is the onboarding mechanism and the client in-doc phase. Number 4 being the fulfillment pieces, the client education mechanism, accountability mechanism, continued in-doc mechanism, and then the success mechanism. Your job is to just merely increase the volume that all the pieces of the machine can handle in a given time frame. Kind of like an engine. Think about a jet engine. Okay? Literally, it just compounds and it gets more power the faster it goes. Same here. Coaching businesses, I've been saying this for so long. I don't say it enough. Or even, I don't push it out enough. But a coaching business is literally a jet engine. The more clients you get and the more clients you get results for, the faster you are pushed forward, meaning the more air is sucked into the engine. And it is compressed into the engine, meaning you get more thrust. The more clients you get and the better the business does, the more people that are getting results pushes you further faster. So, without ranting too much, distilled down, these components could be shown in a 4-part system. Offer, positioning, and ICP, content and funnels, sales, and then fulfillment. And applying systems thinking to this entire process, everything gets very easy very quickly to understand. Now, let's get into how we actually optimize each stage of the system. Part 0, the offer. So in the beginning, Will's offer was not packaged very well. He was not charging very much, and it was difficult to understand what exactly he was selling for, like what exactly he was selling to the occasional prospect that he did get on the phone. It wasn't particularly clear and concise. But a summarization of it is that he was just getting on sales calls and asking people basically if they wanted weekly calls, a diet plan, and a workout plan. Not very effective. And the reason it wasn't effective is because he was just selling deliverables, but not an outcome, right? He's not selling weekly calls, a diet plan, and a workout plan. He should have been selling, I'll get you a 6-pack and I'll get you, veins in your biceps, right? So what do? We changed the packaging of the deliverables, threw in specific value adds, and changed the price points to optimize for larger one-time purchases to capture as much of the customer LTV up front, rather than getting the, small month-to-month things, month-to-month payment plans, so on and so forth. Now, his offer before our changes, once weekly check-in call, an initial diet plan, workout plan, and then $200 month-to-month payments, recurring just eternally, which works for some people, but in this case, what we did worked better. The new and improved offer and deliverables that we helped him construct, with the offer statement being, I help you lose 20 pounds of fat and put on 10 pounds of muscle in the next 180 days or you don't pay. With these being all the deliverables, I don't have to go into all these, but basically it's making the deliverables so over complex, front facing, not in delivery, but front facing, the deliverables looking complex so that people are under the assumption that they will have to figure all of that out themselves without using you. Or in this case, with Will. So you put it front-facing so it looks hyper-complex, lots of moving parts, things like that. But in reality, all of these are extremely simple. This is basically, none of these are actually, deliverables outside of, 2 or 3 things. With the pricing being $1,500 for 3 months, $3,000 for 6 months, PIF, paid in full, right up front. Now, this offer is incredibly effective because the value proposition is stacked so much more in the prospect's favor that they're just generally going to feel incredibly dumb saying no to it on a sales call. Not to mention when people are paying for something month to month, they will constantly be looking for any reason to rationalize why they should not pay for it anymore. Things like, and I've experienced this personally, so this doesn't just apply to Will. A lot of the stuff in here is general thought processes and things that Liam and I have come up with as well from our own experiences. And when you optimize for month to month, say like $200 a month things, once you give clients, in let's say Will's case, like if I was Will and I gave a client the whole diet plan, workout plan, they're going to go, oh, well, I already got all the baseline info. Well, I shouldn't pay for it anymore. Stupid things like that. People are like extremely disrespectful in that light where they think, well, I shouldn't have to pay for it anymore. It's like, well, there's tuning that goes into this too. It's not just set it and forget it. It's iterative. It's tuning. That's why it's coaching. It is not a course, right? They think things like, he isn't doing anything extra for me, so I should just stop paying now. Just little dumb excuses like that people who are not committed will come up with to rationalize not paying for it anymore. Which is exactly why we switched Will over to a single flat pricing model within or for a given time range that fits within the offer so that the entire customer LTV is realized immediately up front. And then not to mention, this is a huge deal as well, when people make that greater financial and mental commitment and have more skin in the game with no way to back out of it, basically, they are far more likely to get better results. The outcome being, after we changed Will's offer, deals would close far easier on sales calls. And in real time, even if he's only cash collecting on the 3-month package, he's collecting 7 times more up front, right? Now, the ICP, we're not necessarily at a disadvantage, but the target demo that resonates with Will is younger males, which is a bit of a challenge because that demo is historically very low on liquid capital and just having, think about how many 18-year-old or 17-year-old guys in America or the UK or Northwestern Europe, hey man, do you have $5,000? Most of them don't. So they're very high in motivation and need, but they're historically low on cash. So you get a lot of filtration problems with leads. Many people come in and they're blatantly not qualified. Which hence why we doubled down on making the value prop so heavily weighted in the favor of the client for a very fair price that it just makes them feel extremely dumb not saying yes. And now we technically could be charging the range of $4 to $6K for 6 months, but the target demo that was resonating with him organically, that just charging above that range, it's just not going to be as much of a no-brainer. Will would have to do all sorts of follow-up, stuff like that. So we just correlated the pricing and the messaging of the intended outcome of the offer to the number one thing his audience was asking questions about, which typically, when we did some story surveys, was how do I lose flab/fat while still building lean mass? That's pretty much the most common thing, so we just correlated the offer to that. Now, using what his audience was routinely telling him they were struggling with, we constructed the offer, kind of like I just said, and we were set to begin working on the most important part of the machine, the content and the funnels. Now, in the beginning of this video, remember how we said to think about this whole process, remember how I said to think about this whole process like a system? This piece right here, content and funnels, is the key part of the system that feeds all the other parts. Without it, no other parts of the business exist. Because the content drives the traffic drives the inbound leads drive the sales calls drive closed deals drive how many clients we can get results for, and the clients we get results for drive how many testimonials and transformations we can show in our content, which drives more clients. So what does this mean? None of the other parts of the system could possibly function without traffic. In fact, what's starting to become common now is that people that have, is a good example just to show you how important the traffic and acquisitions portion of this is. There's the people that are making the most money now, and this is going to sound so bad, but just take this as a lesson, not as like a, hey, do this. The people that are doing really well right now are the people that have dog shit offers, but are driving insane traffic, right? Which sucks to say. And it sucks that it is that way, but that's what it is. What I'm getting at is that balance it by having a banger offer, a really, really good offer that gets people really good results while simultaneously driving traffic. I'm just trying to emphasize the traffic portion here. Now, the higher the volume of quality traffic, the better the other parts of the system are going to run and the more money Will would make. So the first step of the entire process was to ensure that we were driving high quality traffic so that other parts of the system could run at maximum efficiency. When we initially started working together, a lot of Will's content was very, very, very visually oriented. He rarely spoke in his videos, Sometimes, but in general, probably at like a 30-40% ratio, he was speaking in his videos, which causes a severe lack of connection with his audience. This lack of routinely speaking to his audience posed a serious problem in that no one buys from an Instagram billboard. They buy from people that they feel like they actually know, and those who are consistently demonstrating competence and problem-solving capabilities on a regular basis. So we applied our entire ecosystem framework to Will's content so that not only would it be engaging, but everyone who watched it would feel connected to him, know that he knows what he's talking about, and consider him an authority figure and be more likely to purchase coaching from him. Now, here's some of the pillars of the ecosystem framework, being frame, expertise, engagement factor, urgency and pain inflection, and then authenticity. Now, to understand why we applied these pillars to Will's content, you need to understand what the catalyst for someone buying coaching truly is and how the content relates to that. But to show this, I'm going to show you the incorrect way that, and what a lot of people do wrong in their content that just screws them up. Number one being they talk about information to make their content entirely education based. 2 is posting tips and tricks videos. 3, shooting videos with low energy and speaking passively on the topics they're covering. For example, right now, I'm not talk about information to make their content entirely education based. I'm 3xing the volume of my voice, increasing intonation, so on and so forth, just as an example. 4, talk about the what and not the how and the why. And 5, come off too polished and not like a human being that has normal flaws and deals with challenges just like the audience. Now, the types of content mentioned above are absolutely horrendous for standing out in the crowd and do nothing for, quote, putting a fire under your audience's ass, because no action means no decisions are made and no cash is collected. You cannot just put out information. That's how you get put in the content creator friend zone. Okay, you need to get people to take action. This is exactly what his TikToks and Reels felt like before we actually started making these changes to the thought process around how he thought about programming his audience with different feelings and motivations. And here's a good way to think about it. Educational and information-based content puts you in the friend zone in your audience's mind. Authoritative and urgency-based content frames you as a leader and a guide in your audience's mind. And think about it. What makes someone a good coach? A coach is fundamentally a leader and a guide before everyone else. The person with the most information and knowledge is usually the fucking loser. They're usually never the winner. So our strategy, I know multiple people who know an insane amount of things, but just because they don't come off from an actual authoritative perspective, no one buys from them. It happens constantly. So our strategy for pivoting over to this orientation of the content was the following. Video content strategy being over the course of 1 to 1.5 weeks, we slowly pivoted Will from stopping and doing only visually oriented content and started doing more talking head videos on both TikTok and IG, doing one of each daily. These videos not only included some green screen style videos and some visual elements to help maintain the engagement, but a majority were actually more motivation and urgency based rather than talking about fitness at all. In fact, there was a direct correlation between how little Will actually talked about fitness, lifting, and specifics with that, and how many leads were completing the new application that we built him. And I'm not kidding when I say like the more motivational personal development and value hierarchy the content orientation was, the more leads came in to a crazy degree. And I'll show you guys more about the lead flow and stuff later, but the biggest thing we noticed is one of the biggest changes came from the fact that we had him, who's selling a fitness coaching offer, talk less about fitness, and he got more leads from it. That's the whole base of the ecosystem framework, is actually getting people to move their ass, basically. People want to be led and motivated, so they choose to align with the person that leads and motivates, not just the person that has the most knowledge. Kind of like I said earlier, right? Now, the TikTok strategy was simple. We had Will continue to post visually appealing and aesthetic clips 2 to 3 times a week to keep the traffic volume and engagement high. But in order to keep up this whole putting a fire under their ass thing, we added in 1 talking head TikTok per day that was motivational / urgency oriented in order to trigger people to take some form of action, whether that was going and following him on Instagram, going directly through his funnel and applying to work with him, or just checking out and consuming more of his content. It did not matter. We just wanted them more ingrained in Will's new content ecosystem that we were building. That's the point, is you don't want people to, I mean, you can convert people immediately right off the bat from content. It's happened to me plenty of times. I've had people that have gotten on sales calls and literally like paid in full after seeing a single TikTok of mine. So it can happen. It does happen. But you shouldn't count it like that. You should want to get people into your whole ecosystem and just consume more of what you have put out before. You want them more connected to you. Prior to us doing this, Will was relying on TikTok as a pure conversion platform and treated it almost like organic ad creatives, which I can understand. A lot of people make that mistake, but the problem is that you'll get discouraged because you feel like you can control every aspect of video's performance, but you really can't. So you end up getting screwed up, discouraged, and thinking you're doing something wrong when you're really not. You're completely fine. Now, people, once again, just getting people into the content ecosystem was the best way to treat TikTok rather than just direct conversion. Instagram Reels. Reels are probably one of the biggest actual results drivers of this whole thing, because that is the baseline content and engagement driver for most of the lead flow in this case. And these two types of videos that we included in Will's strategy were, one, videos consisting of Will flexing and posing in a short video that was no longer than 10 seconds and had a trending audio attached to it. Once again, necessary for showing social proof as well as generating a lot of IG traffic. Getting tons of eyeballs while also being low effort to create as well, not to mention. So video style number 2 is incentivizing action. These were similar to what we had done on TikTok, but because with Instagram, the average video length needs to be a lot shorter. It's more about duration and runtime being as low as humanly possible rather than just like having a good point or good message. Instagram is a lot more shallow like that. So it's basically the same thing as the TikToks, where it's urgency and motivation oriented, but a lot more compact. And the reason we did this 50-50 split, once again, just to continue running that large volume of traffic, but also including nurturing videos in that stack. Super simple, straight 50-50. Similar to TikTok, we were firing these videos out on a once daily basis so that a reasonable pace of content production could be maintained for a long period of time without sacrificing quality. Now, Instagram stories, if you are not aware, are in fact the most powerful asset for marketing in all of social media. There's literally nothing on the planet that is more effective than Instagram stories. They are a complete cheat code, in fact, when it comes to building a raw connection with your audience and instantly broadcasting any message we wanted to send out, or priming the audience to take action, or testing. And here's exactly how we used it with Will's audience. So the Instagram story strategy every day of the week would be morning wake-up stories, a daily quote story, gym receipt story, basically showing proof that he worked out, daily motivational / urgency-oriented content where it's more like he's just talking to his audience, he's not answering questions necessarily, stacked post, meaning like showing how much he accomplished that day, what he did, completing a to-do list, and then any other possible things happening during the day that could be shared that actually made sense to include. Then additionally on Tuesdays and Fridays, we fired out the following stories. Client transformations plus testimonial videos posted as stories in the early afternoon, and then immediately after those testimonials are posted, we followed them up with an urgency / motivational story that contained a call to action in it, directing Will's audience to apply to work with him immediately. So basically, you prime them with social proof and then hit them with a CTA. That's how we built it in Will's case, and it worked wonders. These story flows displaying consistent discipline, the best and most ideal parts of Will's life, and showing social proof and results multiple times per week drove an incredible amount of leads. And the more we hammered motivation and urgency, the more intense the lead flow became day after day. In fact, at the time that I was writing this, we were getting 10 to 15 Slack notifications a day from new leads coming in just through Instagram alone, just through the Instagram stories. So I'll show you now how we directed all the high quality traffic that we were actually generating from this content strategy. So the funnel. When it came to Will's funnel, there was a lot to be done. The mistake that Will made, and a lot of people do, is running all their organic social traffic to a multi-page website. And that's a problem because when you run organic social traffic that's coming from like all those fast-paced content and stories, they can't really focus on it that well. And there's so many options that they end up getting analysis paralysis, so they end up just leaving the site. Versus what we did, yeah, basically this is a summarization of what I'm saying, where he was only getting 1 to 2 booked calls every 2 weeks, purely because we could literally see that people were getting distracted constantly when they actually hit his website. So how we fixed it was we got rid of his multi-page website and immediately replaced it with a streamlined application form that had the following question copywriting structure. I'm not going to read every one of these off because that's just going to extend the video by literally like 20 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll slowly scroll through it. If you want to pause the video and then, view it from there and understand the nuance, go right ahead. Okay. So after finishing these application questions, the prospect was then fired immediately to a short end screen. And this end screen let them know that they will be reached out to, like when they land on the end screen, they were specifically shown, when we have spots to take on new clients, we will reach out to you. And what this does is that it increases the perceived value on Will's end, and it generates fear of missing out in the prospect's mind, where it's like, okay, there's only like dedicated opportunities to actually getting involved here, right? So the reason, once again, why this application system that we built Will absolutely dwarfed the rest of, or the results that the multi-page website was getting, is because the prospect only has one possible path that they can take, which is through the application. So there's no reason for someone to drop off unless they specifically were not interested in buying his fitness coaching. And then 2 is that the copy we wrote for the application was specifically crafted in a way to make the prospect imagine their ideal end state constantly, while also filtering out anyone that didn't urgently want fitness coaching. Yeah, so basically it was a constant getting the prospect to imagine their ideal end state and filtering out people who were not serious about starting. The result being that prior to our changes to the content and the funnel, Will was getting maybe 1 to 2 booked calls every 2 weeks through his multi-page website and his kind of lackluster content strategy. And it just wasn't very consistent. But now we are, on average, getting roughly 7 to 10 leads per day purely from the organic content mentioned before. In fact, actually, let me see. Where is he? Wait. Yeah, see, we're getting applications on a daily basis here too. Anyway, that's besides the point. In the time since I was writing this document, at this point in the doc, it took me, I think it was 3 days of writing to get down to here. There was 33 leads that came through the funnel. So you can see literally from the beginning of the document, I was at we were at 496 or 497, and it's already at 529 3 days in. So roughly 7 to 10 leads a day, if not more. Streamlining the funnel made with very specific copy attached was a game changer for making every piece of content far more worthwhile. Now, going into the next stage of how we change the customer journey to get Will even more clients on demand is the sales, specifically the call booking mechanism. If you remember where we left off, the new funnel we had built, Will, left the prospect on an end screen that told them that they would be reached out to when we have open spots to take on new clients. Now, we didn't want to automate this process, like literally like an automated text. We didn't want to do that because then it would just kind of make that look like bullshit. So what we had Will do is, or as you just saw right there in Slack, we literally had a Slack automation set up so that every time a lead comes through, the lead is immediately fired right into Slack. So there's a notification for that. And then Will, on a routine basis, say 3 to 7 minutes after a lead comes in, would just send out a text manually that he had copied. Being, let's see here, the following statement: "Hey, name, it's Will. Saw that you applied for coaching. You ready to get in the best shape of your life?" Or we tried different iterations of that. But if they didn't respond, we completely left them alone and did not contact them again. Because when it comes to fitness coaching offers or non-numerical / B2C offers, these are extremely emotionally motivated purchases, and you cannot hunt people down. If it's a numerical one and there's, more, it's a logical purchase, yes. But in this case, the kind of people that are buying this sort of thing, they are buying when they're very in an emotional state and they're hot and ready. And if we would have given them the time of day after already being ignored once, they typically, in the beginning when we tested it, they would immediately pretty much lose respect. And you could literally just tell from how they were communicating that they felt like Will or us were desperate and just trying to get a closed deal rather than someone that they should actually look up to and be coached by. So we just completely avoided reaching out to people that did not, like reaching out again to people that sent messages in, but they didn't immediately show interest, because if they wanted it, they would act like it, right? And yes, we did this all through text. So we would, if they did respond with anything positive to that, we would gauge how badly they wanted coaching and then amplify their pain points and set up a Zoom call through text. This is obviously in stark contrast to what a standard book a call funnel looks like. But when we had that book a call funnel before, in the very beginning, we tried that. The show rate was down very bad once again because of an emotional purchase. And we were still testing out the framing and the positioning at that time. But what we found is that the text flow works far better, as it allows for greater filtration and amplifying their pain points before even getting on the call. And the show rate was, the difference being that the show rate went from near 100%, like night and day difference. And then the people that did show up were more respectful and far more likely to cash collect. And speaking into the closing rate and cash collection rate, how we saw, or Will's situation at this time was that he didn't really have a structure for his sales calls. He was kind of just wild westing them, get on a call, kind of ask them like, oh, do you just want this thing? After asking like 2 or 3 questions. But what we changed him over to is actually having a legitimate structure, because all the leads in the world cannot fix a bad sales process. You can have 1,000 leads a day, but if your sales process sucks, you're probably only going to get very, very few. So here's what we did to fix it. We crafted a new sales call structure for him that was designed to increase the prospect's urgency and motivation, so that by the time Will actually got to the price, they had basically already completely convinced themselves that they absolutely needed this, and their pain points were that amplified. And then we also listened to some of his sales calls, some ones that went bad and not fantastic, to determine if that there was pain points or things that he missed that he could have capitalized on, and then gave him advice on such. Once again, similar to the application flow, I'm not going to read every one of these off because my voice is already getting destroyed. And my voice is already getting destroyed from this video and speaking at a higher volume. And it would add like an extra 15, 20 minutes to the video, versus you guys could just pause the video right here and briefly go through these, like understand the intro and use some deductive reasoning as to figure out like, okay, once they said yes to wanting to hear more, we gave a concise and authoritative assumed close explanation of what happens once they join the program, rather than just saying, oh, do you want to join? You just assume the close always. Little things like that. So just pause the video momentarily and use some deductive reasoning as to these. Because if I went through them, it's literally gonna add 20 minutes to the video. I might do a full sales call structure breakdown video on the YouTube channel, just so that we can have like a full breakdown video of that. But this one's already going to be very long. I actually intended for this one to not go over an hour, so we're going to try to keep it under that timeline. So after handling any all objections around the price, identifying uncertainty, so on and so forth, once it was closed and we're actually moving forward, collect payment on the call, set up the client one-on-one onboarding strategy call while still on the call, so that the new client, prospect still at this point, does not get any post-purchase remorse, and then complete the sale. Now, obviously, this whole thing, this structure, even though this looks in-depth, this is actually a summarization of the structure we gave him. It was far more in-depth. But it's just understanding the framework and the principles. Now, before, Will didn't really have a structure, was kind of just going in without any intention, and his close rate and cash collection were suffering greatly from it, obviously. But the second we actually applied a structure, gave the calls more intention, and his close rate started to climb. Crazy. Who would have guessed, right? So once his close rate started to climb, I think if I remember the data correctly, I should have added the screenshot here. That would have been a good idea. But his close rate was sitting right now is just over 50%. So his show rate is roughly 95%, and his close rate is sitting just over 50%. But now that Will was closing deals left and right, once we gave him this new sales structure and he started actually like getting better at just keeping it on hand in his head on calls, we obviously had to build him a new client management system and a new back end so that he could actually handle the onboarding and fulfilling at least 5 to 10 new clients a week if that's what he was bringing in. So before we worked with Will, he was basically just doing as many one-on-ones as clients were asking for, which is, if anyone watching this video has done that, it is nightmarish after even 4 or 5 clients. That already is like, oh my God, make it stop. So because of this, he was time drained during the most valuable hours of the day when he should be making content or taking sales calls to be able to sign more clients and help more people. So the content and then actually the client work is what matters. The whole sales process, you want to spend the least amount of time and have that be the most efficient as possible. And then like the admin process, you want to optimize your entire system so that you can just be serving the most amount of people on a daily basis. That's the whole idea. So we restructured his fulfillment and client management to handle the increased amount of clients we were getting, basically increasing the throughput of the whole system. Basically, we didn't want him losing his mind taking 40 individual one-on-one calls every single week, right? Now, giving you a comparison of how most coaches operate their backend versus what we did for Will to make sure he could handle this high volume of new clients. How most coaches operate their backend is countless one-on-ones with clients, draining all the coach's time, allowing the client to spend way too much time mulling over thought, picking their brain, and getting stuck in mental masturbation instead of action. And finally, not optimizing for client performance tracking and daily habits to ensure results. That's what we even do for our program, is we have trackers and scoreboards in place. Not scoreboards, but we have activity trackers and basically a miniature database to actually make sure on a daily basis these set objectives and tasks are happening, right? So the new backend we built operated as such: single one-on-one with a client in the beginning of the program, moving to group calls afterwards, optimize client plans and processes and modals of thought for action instead of just talking and mental masturbation, set up a new system that was dialed in for clients tracking daily action so it was impossible for them to slip up. In this case, macros, lifts, cardio, wake-up time, no alcohol intake, the whole 9 yards. And then something a lot of people do not think about is in the client in-doc phase, giving them like a ruthless mindset check right in the beginning so that you just want them drinking the Kool-Aid right from the get-go. Like they are in. That's what you want to have in the client in-doc phase. Now, mapping out exactly what the restructuring of Will's clients fulfillment looked like, so it didn't matter if he had 1 client or 100. His time dedicated to fulfillment would be exactly the same. So like I mentioned just up here, this is basically a more specific version of what I just mentioned. Initial one-on-one, going over and building the goals, expectations, diets, and workouts in real time, onboarding them into the meal tracking and the workout tracking app, getting them access to the group coaching calls, and pushing them on a daily basis with morning messages, so on and so forth. Basically optimizing the whole system so that Will could manage, it doesn't matter if it's 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 clients, all good to go. And this structure of fulfillment made it so that no matter how many clients Will close, there's always going to be enough time during the week for him to try to focus on making more content, taking more sales calls, and still healthily and freely living his day-to-day life without being completely consumed by his clients. Now, contrary to popular belief, group coaching is also actually more effective than one-on-one coaching sessions, because the one-on-one sessions is purely just, it ends up always being just like a client like pity party almost. It's just like talking about problems instead of being action-oriented, versus if every client only had 5 minutes to speak or 2 to 3 minutes to speak, it's solving a specific issue in that moment. All right, let's go on. Action, move. Yeah, so if a client feels that they need more one-on-ones, it is a byproduct of them not taking enough action on a day-to-day basis. And if people ask for more one-on-ones, we made that abundantly clear to them. And we made it super clear to them that their lack of progression rested solely on their shoulders, and Will wasn't there to spoon feed them, just giving them the framework, and that, it's a coaching program, not a let me do this for you program. Okay, there's some internal learning that happens as well. Now, you wanted to know, oh wait, sorry. And funnily enough, this actually got them better results because crazy, when we pivoted their focus to taking actions, they got better results instead of wanting to have empty theoretical conversations all the time. Who would have guessed it, right? Who would have ever guessed that? And you want to know what happened when we started to get clients or even more clients' results? We started to collect an arsenal of testimonials and transformations that we had Will constantly using in Instagram stories, highlight stories, and as more marketing assets. Because remember, this goes back to what I mentioned in the beginning about the coaching business being a jet engine, which I'm trademarking that idea, by the way. That's Liam and I's idea about the jet engine coaching businesses. It's all a feedback loop. More client acquisition means more client results. More client results means more client acquisition. It is an amazing cycle to see play out in real time, and every time we get someone to start experiencing it, it's like an amazing feeling of just seeing them posting social proof, and then they start getting leads and sales, and it's amazing to watch happen in real time. And when the social proof snowball starts to get momentum, we legitimately, in Will's case, and this happens to everyone, it gets to the point where you literally cannot turn off the amount of people that are filling in applications and coming in every day. In fact, we were having some times where on back-to-back days, we were having 15 people applying to get on calls with Will. See, like 15 submissions back-to-back. Now, this is basically just an explanation of how powerful the system and feedback loop gets when it's actually executed properly, intentionally, and the nuance behind every decision and change is fundamentally understood here. So, now that you understand exactly how this process works and the results that we got for Will, meaning that he's cresting 30K per month, obviously the Stripe thing is, and PayPal and Zelle is just the target demo. Some people don't have cards. It is what it is. Now that you understand the results and how the systems work, I have an offer for you. If you are a coach or an aspiring coach, a course seller or info product seller, or a person with specialized knowledge who wants to launch or scale their coaching business and are operating inside, we'll go with, actually, this is wrong. We'll go with health or wealth. That's better. Operating inside the health or wealth niches. I don't know why relationships was there. And you want to build a cult-like following, and you want to effectively monetize your audience without spending a dime on ads or sending a single cold DM while staying above 93% profit margins, we will install our organic ecosystem framework into your business so we can replicate this exact process for you so you can see similar results in less than half of the time it would take for you to do it on your own. A good example, we did it with Will here in 90 days, right? In fact, we're so confident we can deliver these results for you that if we don't add an extra 10 to 30K a month in profit to your coaching business from wherever you're at right now in the next 180 days using our system, you do not pay. I will say that again. We are so confident we can deliver these results for you that if we do not add an extra 10 to 30K per month in profit to your coaching business in the next 180 days or less using our system, you do not pay. So, if you want to see results like these, similar to Will, and you want the system installed in your business, hit the first link in the description below. Book a call with the application is going to say asm.close, but most likely it will be either Liam or myself or one of our team members because we're bringing on people for our sales development team, and we will give you a walkthrough of exactly how our system works. And if it's a good fit, we can talk about how we're going to work together. Worst case scenario, if it's not a good fit, we point you in the right direction, right? So if you're watching this still and you went through this entire training, this whole breakdown, there's a very high likelihood that there's some elements of this that actually assisted you. So I hope you got some value from this. The feedback we've gotten thus far has been that a lot of people, when they saw the application copy and the sales structure, their opinion was that those were the most valuable portions of the whole thing because they never thought of it like that. But in my opinion, the most valuable part of this whole breakdown is actually the perspective change that I tried to give in the beginning about looking at the entire thing as a system and as a jet engine. It's not just, oh yeah, clients are just going to come to me and I'm just going to make money. It's going to be great. Go to brunch on Sundays. It doesn't work like that. It's a system. It is a machine. It is a combustion engine. Okay, volume. It's about like volume in the front, propulsion out the back that pushes even more volume into the front. In my opinion, that is, in fact, the best perspective change through all of this. All the little things, those are details that absolutely matter and make the machine more efficient and function at a higher throughput and capacity. But the main idea being here that I hope you got some value from this. I hope you got a perspective change from this. And if you are someone that is looking to get similar results as to Will, and you're watching this from Liam and I's YouTube account, I'm looking forward to speaking with you.